When Marcus Rivers turned on his microphone that Tuesday night, he had one goal: destroy Elon Musk on live TV. He had papers that looked real but were fake. He had tough questions ready. He thought this would be his big moment. Marcus was completely wrong. Instead of making Musk look bad, Musk started talking about a dying 8-year-old girl. Instead of exposing a fake charity, Marcus learned it was saving hundreds of kids. Instead of becoming famous for catching a liar, Marcus discovered he was the one being lied to. But the biggest shock: Marcus was about to attack the man who secretly saved his life when he was 7 years old. What happens when you try to destroy someone who already saved you? And what if your biggest mistake becomes the greatest gift to children everywhere? Marcus Rivers stared at his reflection in the makeup mirror. His tie was perfect. His hair was slicked back just right, but his hands were shaking. 5 minutes, Marcus, called Sophia Chen from across the room. She was his production assistant, but tonight she felt more like his lifeline. I've got this, Marcus whispered to himself. He'd been saying the same words for 3 hours. Ever. Since he walked into Channel 7 News that evening, he'd been repeating them like a prayer. Tonight was different. Tonight was the night that would make him famous. For 6 months, Marcus had been digging into what he thought was the biggest story of his career. Elon Musk's charity foundation was fake. Marcus was sure of it. The documents proved it. The numbers didn't lie. The Future Kids Foundation, Marcus said out loud, testing how the words sounded. More like the Future Fake Foundation. Sophia looked up from her tablet. You sure about this, Marcus? I mean, really sure? Marcus turned around in his chair. Sophia, I've triple-checked everything. The foundation claims to help sick kids, right? But look at these papers. He held up a thick folder. All the money goes to admin costs. Not one penny has actually helped a child. The makeup artist finished powdering his nose. Marcus stood up and straightened his jacket. He was 35 years old and had been working local news for 8 years. This was his shot at the big time. Channel 7's main studio was buzzing with energy. Camera operators tested their equipment. Sound technicians checked microphones. The audience was filing in, excited to see the famous billionaire up close. Marcus walked to his desk and spread out his papers. Everything was organized perfectly. Bank statements, foundation records, email printouts, all of it pointing to one thing. Elon Musk was lying to America. 3 minutes, someone shouted. Marcus's heart was pounding. He dreamed about this moment since college. The moment when a nobody reporter takes down a giant. The moment that changes everything. Bradley Thornton, the network executive, walked over and put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. You ready to make history, kid? Born ready, Marcus replied. But inside, something felt strange. Thornton had been the one to give him all these documents. Said he got them from a whistleblower inside Musk's company. Marcus hadn't questioned it. Free story, free evidence, free ticket to fame. The studio lights came on full blast. Marcus squinted and looked toward the guest chair. Empty, but not for long. Ladies and gentlemen, the floor director announced, please welcome our guest, Elon Musk. The audience clapped as the tall, slightly awkward billionaire walked onto the set. Marcus expected him to look confident, maybe even arrogant. Instead, Musk looked tired, sad even. They shook hands. Musk's grip was firm but gentle. Thank you for coming on the show, Mr. Musk, Marcus said as they both sat down. Thank you for having me, Musk replied quietly. Marcus looked into Musk's eyes and felt something unexpected. This wasn't the cold, money-hungry villain he'd imagined. This was just a man, a human being. But it was too late to back down now. 30 seconds, called the director. Marcus shuffled his papers one last time. The folder full of evidence sat right there in front of him. His questions were memorized. His trap was set. The red light on camera 1 turned on. Good evening, I'm Marcus Rivers, and this is Channel 7 Investigates. His voice was steady and professional. Tonight, we're joined by tech billionaire Elon Musk to discuss some serious questions about his charitable foundation. Musk nodded slightly but said nothing. Marcus felt the rush of adrenaline. This was it. The moment he'd been preparing for. The moment that would make his career. "Mr. Musk," Marcus began, his voice growing stronger, "you've told the world that your Future Kids Foundation helps sick children. But I have documents here that tell a very different story." He held up the papers, making sure the cameras caught them. "Isn't it true that your foundation is nothing more than a tax scam?" The audience was silent. The cameras rolled. Social media was probably already buzzing. Marcus waited for Musk to get angry, to deny everything, to play right into his hands. Instead, Musk looked directly into the camera and said something that made Marcus's blood run cold. "Marcus, before we talk about documents, I need to tell you about a little girl named Tommy." The way Musk said the child's name made something twist in Marcus's stomach. There was pain in his voice. Real pain. This wasn't going according to plan at all. Marcus felt his carefully prepared words slipping away. He looked down at his notes, trying to get back on track. He couldn't let Musk control the interview. "Mr. Musk, we're not here to talk about individual children," Marcus said, his voice sharp. "We're here to talk about fraud." The word hung in the air like a knife. The audience shifted in their seats. Marcus felt his confidence returning. This was his moment. He opened his folder and pulled out the first document. According to these bank records, your Future Kids Foundation has raised over $2 million in the past year, but not a single penny has gone to help any child. Marcus held up the papers for the cameras. He'd practiced this move in the mirror at home. It looked perfect. "Every dollar," Marcus continued, his voice getting stronger, "has gone to something called administrative costs. Administrative costs that happen to be payments to your own companies." The studio audience was dead quiet. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat in his ears. Social media notifications were probably exploding on people's phones right now. Musk looked at the documents but didn't reach for them. He just sat there, calm and still. "Furthermore," Marcus pressed on, "these emails show that your foundation has a staff of exactly 0 people. No doctors, no social workers, no one whose job it is to actually help children." Marcus was hitting his stride now. This was exactly how he'd imagined it. He was David, and Musk was Goliath. America loved an underdog story. "So my question is simple, Mr. Musk. How can you look into that camera and tell American families that you care about their sick children when your foundation is nothing but a shell company?" Marcus leaned back in his chair. The trap was set. The evidence was clear. All Musk could do now was deny, deny, deny. And that would make him look even more guilty. But Musk didn't deny anything. He didn't get angry. He didn't even look at Marcus. Instead, he turned to face the camera directly. When he spoke, his voice was soft and sad. "Tommy Vasquez is 8 years old," Musk said. "She lives in Phoenix with her mother, Dr. Elena Vasquez. Tommy was born with a heart condition called hypoplastic left heart syndrome." Marcus tried to interrupt. "Mr. Musk, that's not what we're—" "Without surgery," Musk continued, ignoring Marcus completely, "Tommy will die before her 9th birthday." The words hit the studio like a punch. Marcus felt the energy in the room change. This wasn't what he'd planned at all. "The surgery costs $400,000, Musk said. "Tommy's mother is a doctor. She saves other people's children every day, but her insurance company says Tommy's surgery is experimental. They won't pay for it." Marcus looked at his notes. None of this was in his script. He was supposed to be asking the questions. He was supposed to be in control. "Tommy's surgery is scheduled for tomorrow morning at Phoenix Children's Hospital," Musk said. His voice was getting quieter, but somehow it felt louder than before. "Her parents are probably watching this show right now." The camera operator zoomed in on Musk's face. There were tears in his eyes. They're watching because they want to see the man who's going to save their daughter's life. Marcus felt something cold crawl up his spine. The foundation documents in his hands suddenly felt heavy. Different. Musk reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small piece of paper. It was folded and wrinkled, like it had been handled many times. He unfolded it carefully. It was a drawing, a child's drawing in crayon, a rocket ship flying through stars, with stick figures waving from the windows. "Tommy drew this for me last month," Musk said, holding it up so the cameras could see. "She said she wants to go to space someday, but first she needs a heart that works." The audience was completely silent. Even the camera operators had stopped moving. Marcus stared at the drawing. The paper looked old and soft, like someone had looked at it many times. At the bottom, written in shaky letters, were the words, "Thank you, Mr. Musk." "Tommy's mother wrote to me 6 months ago," Musk continued. "She didn't ask for money. She just wanted to tell someone that her daughter loved rockets. That even though Tommy was sick, she still dreamed of flying to the stars." Marcus felt his prepared questions crumbling in his mind. This wasn't about fraud or fake charities. This was about a little girl who was going to die. But he couldn't stop now. Too much was riding on this story. His career, his future, everything. "Mr. Musk," Marcus said, his voice shaking slightly. "That's a very touching story, but it doesn't explain where the money—" Musk looked at him for the first time since the interview started. His eyes were completely calm, but there was something in them that made Marcus stop talking. "Marcus," Musk said quietly, "I need to tell you about a little girl named Tommy." Marcus opened his mouth to interrupt again, but something in Musk's voice stopped him. The billionaire wasn't talking to him anymore. He was talking directly to the camera, to America. "Tommy's full name is Tomasa Elena Vasquez," Musk continued. "She chose Tommy because she said it sounded like an astronaut name, like Sally Ride or Mae Jemison." The studio was so quiet that Marcus could hear the air conditioning humming. Every person in the audience was leaning forward, listening. Her mother, Dr. Elena Vasquez, works at Phoenix Children's Hospital. She's a pediatric surgeon. Every day she saves other people's children. She fixes their hearts, removes their tumors, gives them new chances at life. Musk's voice was steady, but Marcus could see his hands shaking slightly. "But Dr. Vasquez can't save her own daughter because Tommy needs a surgery that costs $400,000, and the insurance company says it's too experimental to cover." Marcus looked down at his fraud documents. The numbers suddenly looked different. Less like proof of crime and more like something else. "Tommy was born with only half a heart," Musk said. "Most babies with her condition die in the first few weeks of life, but Tommy is a fighter. She's made it to 8 years old with a heart that shouldn't be able to keep her alive." The camera operator moved closer to Musk. Everyone could see the tears building in his eyes. "She draws pictures of rockets because she says when she gets her new heart, she wants to be the first person to fly to Mars. She's never seen the ocean, never been to Disneyland, never done any of the things most kids do. But she dreams about space." Marcus tried to find his voice. "Mr. Musk, this is very touching, but—" "She sent me 57 letters," Musk interrupted, still looking at the camera. 57 letters in crayon, telling me about her dreams, about how she wants to design better rockets, about how she thinks we should build a hospital on Mars for sick kids from Earth." Musk reached into his other pocket and pulled out a small stack of papers. Children's drawings and letters, all folded and refolded many times. "I keep them with me," he said simply. "All of them." The audience was crying now. Marcus could see people wiping their eyes, reaching for tissues. This wasn't how interviews were supposed to go. This wasn't how anything was supposed to go. 6 months ago, Tommy's condition got worse, Musk continued. The doctors said she had maybe a year left. Her mother wrote to me, not asking for money, just thanking me for giving her daughter something to dream about. Marcus felt like he was watching a car crash in slow motion. His big story, his career-making moment, was turning into something completely different. Dr. Vasquez said Tommy talks about rockets when she's scared, during blood tests and heart monitors and all the procedures that hurt. She pretends she's already an astronaut, already exploring the stars. Musk held up one of the drawings. It showed a little girl in a spacesuit standing on a red planet with a big smile drawn in yellow crayon. This one says, "I will be the first doctor on Mars," Musk read aloud. She wants to be a doctor like her mom. She wants to help other kids who are sick. The studio was completely silent except for the sound of people crying. When I read that letter from Dr. Vasquez, I knew what I had to do, Musk said. I called the hospital that same day. Tommy's surgery was scheduled for this week. Phoenix Children's Hospital will perform the operation tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Marcus felt his world tilting. The documents in his hands weren't proof of fraud. They were proof of what? The surgery will take 14 hours, Musk continued. Tommy will get a new heart, a chance to grow up, a chance to maybe someday actually fly to Mars. Musk looked directly at Marcus for the first time in 10 minutes. The $400,000 for Tommy's surgery came from the Future Kids Foundation, just like the money for 46 other children this year. Kids whose insurance wouldn't cover experimental treatments. Kids whose families had nowhere else to turn. Marcus's mouth went dry. His prepared questions scattered like leaves in his mind. We don't advertise what we do, Musk said, his voice getting stronger. We don't hold press conferences or post pictures on social media, because the moment you turn a child's medical emergency into a publicity stunt, you've lost your soul. The audience started clapping, slowly at first, then louder and louder. People were standing up, applauding not for the interview but for Tommy, for her surgery, for her chance at life. Marcus looked at his fraud documents again, the bank records. The administrative costs. Suddenly he understood what he was really looking at. The money wasn't missing. It was being spent on surgeries, on treatments, on hope. Tommy's parents are watching this show right now, Musk said, looking back at the camera. They're probably at the hospital, getting ready for tomorrow, and they just heard their daughter's lifeline being called a lie on national television. Marcus felt sick, really truly sick. So I need to ask you, Marcus, Musk said quietly. What exactly do you think I've done wrong? The question hung in the air like smoke. Marcus stared at the documents in his hands. The same papers that had seemed like solid gold an hour ago now felt like they were burning his fingers. The foundation, Marcus stammered. His voice cracked like a teenager's. The records show that no money went to children. Musk nodded slowly. You're right. No money went directly to children. Because 8-year-olds don't pay hospital bills, Marcus. Hospitals do. The simple truth hit Marcus like a slap. Of course, the money didn't go to children. It went to the hospitals that treated them. Let me explain how this actually works, Musk said. His voice was gentle, like a teacher talking to a confused student. A family contacts us, usually through a doctor or social worker. They're desperate, their child is dying, and insurance won't cover the treatment. Marcus tried to interrupt, but Musk kept talking. We don't send them a check. We don't make them prove they deserve help. We call the hospital directly. We pay the bill directly. The family never even sees the money because they don't need to handle it. They just need their child to live. In the control room, Sophia Chen was frantically typing on her tablet. She'd been fact-checking Marcus's documents during the interview. Her face was getting paler by the minute. Tommy's surgery tomorrow? Musk continued. Phoenix Children's Hospital got a direct payment of $400,000 last month. It's sitting in their billing department right now, waiting for Tommy to get wheeled into surgery. Marcus looked at his bank statements again. The line items that said administrative costs suddenly made sense. They weren't mysterious payments to Musk's companies. They were payments to hospitals. We've helped 47 children this year, Musk said. Leukemia treatments that insurance called experimental. Heart surgeries for kids with rare conditions. Brain tumor removals that cost more than most people make in 5 years. The audience was completely silent. Even the cameras seemed to be holding their breath. Sarah Chen in Seattle, 6 years old, needed a liver transplant. Insurance said she wasn't sick enough yet. We paid for her surgery in March. She started first grade this fall. Musk's voice was getting stronger with each name. Miguel Santos in Miami, 4 years old, born with spina bifida. Insurance wouldn't cover the surgery to help him walk. We paid for it in June. His parents sent me a video of him taking his first steps. Marcus felt like he was drowning. Every word Musk spoke made the fraud charges sound more ridiculous. David Kim in Chicago, 12 years old, bone cancer. His parents maxed out their credit cards trying to pay for treatment. We covered his chemotherapy. He's been cancer-free for 8 months. Sophia had found what she was looking for on her tablet. She tried to get Marcus's attention, but he was frozen in his chair. Emma Rodriguez in Dallas, 7 years old. Needed experimental gene therapy for a condition so rare it doesn't have a name. Insurance had never even heard of it. We paid for her treatment. She's learning to ride a bike now. Each story was like a hammer blow to Marcus's confidence. This wasn't a fraud. This was a miracle happening over and over again. We don't publicize these stories because these children aren't publicity tools, Musk said. They're human beings. They deserve privacy. They deserve dignity. They deserve to get better without having their medical information broadcast on the news. Marcus finally found his voice. But the paperwork, the way the money moves, it all looks suspicious. It looks suspicious because we designed it that way, Musk said simply. The moment word gets out that we're paying for children's surgeries, we get flooded with requests. Thousands of them. Most are real, but some aren't. So we work quietly. Through doctors, through hospitals, through people who know which cases are real and which ones aren't. Sophia finally caught Marcus's eye. She held up her tablet with something written on it in big letters. Thornton lied to you. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Sophia had been researching Bradley Thornton, the executive who gave him the documents. What had she found? The foundation has no staff because we don't need staff, Musk continued. I read every letter personally. I research every case personally. When a child needs help, I make one phone call to the hospital. The money transfers immediately. No paperwork, no committees, no delays. Marcus looked back at Sophia. She was pointing frantically at her tablet. She'd found something important, because when an 8-year-old girl is dying, Musk said, his voice breaking slightly, she doesn't have time for bureaucracy. She needs help now, today, this minute. Marcus tried to focus on Musk, but Sophia's urgent gestures were distracting. Him. What had she discovered about Thornton? Tommy's surgery is in 16 hours, Musk said, looking directly at the camera again. Her parents are at the hospital right now, praying that everything goes well. And they just watched someone call. Their daughter's only chance at life a fraud. The weight of what Marcus had done hit him like a truck. He wasn't exposing corruption. He was potentially destroying hope for dozens of families. So I'll ask you again, Marcus, Musk said quietly. What exactly do you think I've done wrong? Helping children live? Paying for surgeries that insurance companies won't cover? Giving families hope when they have nowhere else to turn? Marcus opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. How do you apologize for trying to destroy something beautiful? How do you take back words that might kill a foundation that saves lives? Sophia was still trying to get his attention. On her tablet screen, in big red letters, was a message that made Marcus's blood run cold. Thornton is shorting Tesla stock. The documents are fake. Marcus felt the studio spinning around him. He'd been played, used, manipulated into attacking. Innocent children's lifeline for someone else's profit, and he'd done it on live television in front of millions of people. Mr. Musk, Marcus said, his voice barely a whisper, I think I need to tell you something. But Musk wasn't finished. He looked away from Marcus and back at the camera. When he spoke again, his voice was different, quieter, more broken. There's something else I need to tell America about why this foundation exists, Musk said. Something I've never talked about on television before. Marcus felt the air in the studio change. Even the camera operators stopped moving. Something big was coming. 22 years ago, my wife Justine and I had our first son, Musk said. His hands were shaking now. His name was Nevada Alexander Musk. He was perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, the most beautiful baby you've ever seen. The studio was so quiet that Marcus could hear his own heartbeat. Nevada was 10 weeks old when he died, Musk continued. Sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS. One day he was there, laughing and grabbing my finger with his tiny hand. The next day, he was gone. Tears were streaming down Musk's face now. The cameras caught every drop. I held him in my arms as he died, Musk whispered. I had all the money in the world, but I couldn't save my own son. I owned companies worth billions of dollars, but I couldn't buy back his breath. Marcus felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. This wasn't about business or charity tax breaks. This was about a father who lost everything that mattered. For months after Nevada died, I couldn't sleep, Musk said. I would lie awake at night thinking about all the children who die because their parents don't have enough money. All the babies who could be saved if only someone would pay for their treatment. The audience was crying openly now. Even the tough camera operators were wiping their eyes. I kept thinking about how helpless I felt when Nevada died, Musk continued. How angry I was at a world where money could save some children but not others, where rich kids get experimental treatments and poor kids just die. Marcus looked at his fraud documents. They felt dirty in his hands now, like weapons pointed at a grieving father. So I made myself a promise, Musk said. No parent should ever feel the helplessness I felt. No child should die because their family doesn't have enough money. Musk reached into his wallet and pulled out a small, worn photograph. It was a baby picture, faded and creased from being carried for 22 years. This is Nevada, he said, holding it up to the camera. He would be 22 years old now. Maybe he would have been an engineer like me. Maybe he would have been a doctor like Tommy's mother. Maybe he would have found a cure for the disease. That's killing Tommy. The photograph was so old and handled so much that the edges were soft and rounded. Every child we save through the foundation is a way of honoring Nevada's memory, Musk said. Every surgery we pay for is a chance to give another family what I couldn't have. A chance to watch their child grow up. Marcus felt sick. Really, truly sick. He wasn't just attacking a charity. He was attacking a father's way of dealing with the worst loss imaginable. Tommy Vasquez draws pictures of rockets because she dreams of exploring space, Musk said. But I see something else in those drawings. I see Nevada. I see the little boy who never got to chase his dreams because his life was cut short. Musk's voice was barely audible now. When Tommy gets her new heart, tomorrow, when she takes her first healthy breath, Nevada's death will mean something. His short life will have helped save another child's long life. The studio was completely silent, except for the sound of people crying. We don't advertise the foundation because grief isn't a marketing tool, Musk said. Dead children aren't publicity opportunities. The families we help deserve privacy, not camera crews following them around the hospital. Marcus wanted to disappear. He wanted to crawl under his desk and never come out. How do you attack someone's way of honoring their dead child? I've never told this story on television before, because Nevada's death is the most painful thing that ever happened to me, Musk said. But Tommy's parents are watching this show right now. They need to know that their daughter's surgery isn't fake. It's not a scam. It's my way of making sure no parent feels the way I felt 22 years ago. Musk looked directly at Marcus for the first time in 10 minutes. So when you call the foundation a fraud, Marcus, you're not just attacking a charity. You're attacking a father's love for his dead son. You're attacking the only thing that helps me sleep at night. Marcus felt tears running down his own face. His prepared questions were gone. His confidence was shattered. His big story had turned into the worst mistake of his life. Every night, Before I go to bed, I look at Nevada's picture, and I tell him about the children we saved that day, Musk whispered. Tomorrow night, I'm going to tell him about Tommy, about how she got a new heart and a chance to reach for the stars. Musk put Nevada's photograph back in his wallet next to Tommy's drawing, unless, of course, people stop donating to the foundation because they think it's fake. Then I'll have to tell Nevada that his legacy died on live television. Marcus looked at Sophia in the control room. She was holding up her tablet again, the message about Thornton still glowing on the screen. The truth about the fake documents. The truth about being manipulated. But now there was something bigger than the truth. About Thornton, there was the truth about what Marcus had done to a grieving father on national television. "Mr. Musk," Marcus said, his voice shaking. "I need to stop this interview right now." But the cameras kept rolling. The red light stayed on. Marcus looked toward the control room, but the director just stared back at him. No one knew what to do. This had never happened before. "Marcus," Musk said gently, "are you okay?" Marcus wasn't okay. He was falling apart on live television. His hands were shaking so badly he dropped his papers. The fraud documents scattered across the studio floor like confetti. "I can't do this," Marcus whispered. "I can't keep asking these questions." In the control room, Sophia was frantically trying to get someone's attention. She'd been researching Bradley Thornton for the past 20 minutes. What she'd found made her stomach sick. Thornton wasn't just a network executive. He was part of a hedge fund that had bet millions of dollars against Tesla stock. If Musk's reputation crashed, if people stopped believing in his companies, Thornton's fund would make a fortune. The documents Thornton had given Marcus weren't just wrong. They were fake, completely made up. Bank records that never existed. Email chains that were never sent. All of it designed to destroy Musk on live television. Sophia looked at her tablet screen. Thornton's fund had shorted Tesla stock just 3 days ago. They were betting that tonight's interview would tank the company's value. She had to warn Marcus. But how? On stage, Marcus was spiraling. He kept looking at the scattered papers on the floor. Evidence that had seemed so solid an hour ago now looked like trash. "Mr. Musk," Marcus said, his voice cracking. "Someone gave me these documents. Someone told me your foundation was fake. But I'm starting to think that someone lied to you." Musk finished quietly. Marcus nodded. He felt like a child who'd been caught breaking something precious. "Who gave you the documents, Marcus?" Musk asked. Marcus looked toward the control room. He could see Thornton standing behind the glass, talking urgently into his phone. For the first time, Marcus noticed how nervous Thornton looked. "Bradley Thornton," Marcus said. "He's an executive here at the network. He said he had a whistleblower inside your company." Musk's expression changed. Something hard flashed in his eyes. "Bradley Thornton from Meridian Capital?" Musk asked. Marcus felt his blood turn cold. I don't know. He just said he worked for the network." "Meridian Capital is a hedge fund," Musk said. "They make money by betting against companies, by destroying reputations and crashing stock prices." The audience was starting to understand what was happening. Murmurs rippled through the studio. This wasn't just a failed interview. This was something much worse. Sophia finally caught the attention of one of the floor assistants. She handed him a note to give to Marcus. The assistant hurried across the studio and placed the paper in front of Marcus. Marcus read it and felt the world tilt sideways. "Thornton's fund shorted Tesla 3 days ago. The documents are fake. You've been used." Marcus looked up at Musk, then at the scattered papers on the floor, then at the control room where Thornton was still on his phone, probably trying to figure out how to salvage his plan. "Mr. Musk," Marcus said, his voice barely audible, "I think I've made a terrible mistake." The studio audience was completely silent. Even they could feel that something important was happening. "I think someone has used me to try to hurt you," Marcus continued. "To hurt your companies, to hurt the foundation that saves children's lives. Musk leaned forward in his chair. "Marcus, look at me." Marcus raised his eyes to meet Musk's gaze. "You believe that I would steal money meant for sick children?" Musk asked. Marcus felt tears streaming down his face. No, I don't believe that at all." "Do you believe that Tommy Vasquez is getting a real surgery tomorrow morning?" "Yes," Marcus whispered. "Do you believe that 47 children are alive today because the foundation paid for their treatments?" "Yes." "Then you haven't made a mistake, Marcus. You've been the victim of one." The audience started clapping. Slowly at first, then louder. They were clapping for Marcus's honesty, for his willingness to admit he was wrong. But Marcus felt terrible. Worse than terrible. He'd been manipulated into attacking dying children's lifeline. He'd been turned into a weapon against families who had nowhere else to turn. "Mr. Musk," Marcus said, "how do I fix this? How do I undo what I've done?" Musk was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something that shocked everyone in the studio. He smiled. "Marcus," Musk said, "I want you to do something for me. I want you to call Phoenix Children's Hospital, right now, on live television." Marcus looked confused. "What?" "Call Dr. Elena Vasquez, Tommy's mother. Let her tell America about her daughter's surgery. Let her tell the real story of what the foundation does." Marcus felt a spark of hope. Maybe he could turn this disaster into something good. Maybe he could help instead of hurt. "You want me to call her? Right now?" "Right now," Musk said. "Let America hear from a real mother about her real daughter who's getting a real surgery tomorrow morning." Marcus looked toward the control room. The director was nodding frantically. This was television gold. "Okay," Marcus said, reaching for his phone. "Let's call Dr. Vasquez." But as he started dialing, Marcus noticed something in the control room that made his heart sink. Thornton was gone. Marcus stared at the empty control room where the man who had destroyed his life had been standing just moments before. The coward had run away the second his plan started falling apart. But Marcus couldn't think about Thornton now. He had a phone call to make, a chance to fix some of the damage he'd caused. "The number for Phoenix Children's Hospital," Marcus said to his production team. His voice was shaky but determined. Within seconds, someone handed him a piece of paper with the hospital's main number. Marcus's hands were trembling as he dialed. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. "Phoenix Children's Hospital. How can I help you?" "This is Marcus Rivers from Channel 7 News," Marcus said. "I need to speak with Dr. Elena Vasquez urgently. It's about her daughter Tommy." There was a pause. "Hold on, please." The studio was completely silent. Millions of people across America were watching Marcus make this phone call live on television. "This is Dr. Vasquez." Marcus felt his heart jump. This was really happening. "Dr. Vasquez, this is Marcus Rivers. I'm on live television right now with Elon Musk. We're talking about your daughter Tommy and her surgery tomorrow." "Oh my God," came the voice through the phone. "Are you the reporter who said the foundation was fake?" Marcus felt like he'd been punched. "Yes, ma'am. I was wrong. I was completely wrong, and I need to apologize to you and to America." "Put me on speaker," Dr. Vasquez said. Her voice was strong and clear. "I want everyone to hear this." Marcus pressed the speaker button. Dr. Vasquez's voice filled the studio. "My name is Dr. Elena Vasquez. I'm a pediatric surgeon at Phoenix Children's Hospital. And tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., I'm going to watch my daughter get a new heart." The audience was completely still. Even the camera operators had stopped moving. "Tommy was born with hypoplastic left heart syndrome," Dr. Vasquez continued. "It means she was born with only half a heart. Most babies with this condition die in the first few weeks of life." Marcus could hear the emotion in her voice, but also the strength. This was a mother and a doctor talking about her child. "For 8 years, I've watched my daughter live with a heart that shouldn't be able to keep her alive. She's had 7 surgeries already, dozens of hospital stays, more procedures than any child should ever have to endure. Musk was listening with tears in his eyes. He pulled out Tommy's drawing again and held it gently. 6 months ago, Tommy's cardiologist told us she needed a complete heart replacement. The surgery cost $400,000. Our insurance company said it was experimental and refused to cover it. Dr. Vasquez's voice got quieter, but somehow more powerful. I save other people's children every day. I perform heart surgery on babies and kids whose parents trust me with the most precious thing in their lives. But I couldn't save my own daughter. Marcus felt sick all over again. He'd tried to destroy the one thing that could save this woman's child. I wrote to Mr. Musk 6 months ago, Dr. Vasquez continued. Not asking for money, just telling him about Tommy, about how she loves rockets and dreams of being an astronaut, about how she draws pictures of spaceships when she's scared during medical procedures. Musk held up one of Tommy's drawings so the cameras could see it. A rocket ship with a little girl waving from the window. 3 days later, the hospital called me, Dr. Vasquez said. They said Tommy's surgery had been approved and paid for, in full. $400,000, just like that. The audience was crying openly now. Marcus could see grown men wiping their eyes. Mr. Musk didn't ask for publicity. He didn't ask for a photo opportunity. He didn't even ask to meet Tommy. He just saved my daughter's life and asked for nothing in return. Marcus found his voice. Dr. Vasquez, how many other families has the foundation helped that you know of? Dozens, she said immediately. I work at a children's hospital. I see families every day who can't afford the treatments their children need. In the past year alone, I've seen the foundation pay for 12 surgeries at our hospital. 12 children who would have died without that help. Dr. Vasquez paused, and when she spoke again, her voice was full of emotion. Mr. Rivers, when you called the foundation fake on television tonight, you weren't just attacking a charity. You were attacking my daughter's lifeline. You were telling 12 families at my hospital alone that their children's surgeries were lies. Marcus felt the full weight of what he'd done. Dr. Vasquez, I am so sorry. I was given false information, and I should have checked it better. I forgive you, she said simply, because I think you were trying to do the right thing. Someone lied to you and used you as a weapon against sick children. Musk leaned toward the microphone. Elena, how is Tommy feeling about tomorrow? She's scared but excited, Dr. Vasquez said. She told me this morning that after her surgery, she wants to send you a new drawing, one of her with her new heart, ready to fly to Mars. The audience started clapping again. Not polite television applause, but real emotion. These people were genuinely moved by Tommy's story. Can I tell everyone something about Mr. Musk? Dr. Vasquez asked. Of course, Marcus said. He calls me every month to check on Tommy, not for publicity, not for tax purposes, because he genuinely cares about my daughter. He remembers her favorite color. He remembers that she wants to be a doctor like me when she grows up. He treats her like she matters. Musk was openly crying now. The cameras caught every tear. Tomorrow, when Tommy gets her new heart, the first person I'm going to call is Mr. Musk, Dr. Vasquez said, because he gave my daughter the chance to grow up. He gave her the chance to chase her dreams. Marcus looked at the scattered fraud documents on the floor, then at Musk holding Tommy's drawing, then at the empty control room where Thornton had been standing. Dr. Vasquez, Marcus said, thank you for telling the truth. Thank you for forgiving me. And thank you for raising a daughter who dreams of the stars. Thank you for giving me the chance to tell people what Mr. Musk really does, she replied. And Mr. Musk? Yes? Tommy wants you to know that when she gets to Mars someday, she's going to build a hospital there for all the sick kids on Earth who need a place to get better. Musk's face broke into the first real smile Marcus had seen all evening. Through his tears, the billionaire laughed softly. Tell Tommy that when she's ready to build that hospital, I'll help her design the rockets to get there, Musk said into the phone. She's going to be so excited, Dr. Vasquez replied. Mr. Rivers, thank you for letting me tell the truth about what the foundation really does. Thank you, Dr. Vasquez, Marcus said. Please give Tommy our love and tell her all of America is rooting for her tomorrow. I will. Good night, everyone. The line went dead. The studio was completely silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, the audience began to clap. Not the polite applause of a television show, but the deep, emotional clapping of people who had just witnessed something real. Marcus looked at the cameras. Millions of people were watching. People who had tuned in expecting to see a billionaire get destroyed on live television. Instead, they had heard the story of a dying child and the man trying to save her. America, Marcus said, his voice shaking. I need to tell you what really happened here tonight. The applause died down. Everyone was listening. 3 days ago, Bradley Thornton, an executive at this network, gave me a folder full of documents. He told me they proved that Elon Musk's charity foundation was fake. He said I would be famous for exposing this fraud. Marcus looked directly into the camera. Those documents were lies, complete lies, made up to trick me into attacking a foundation that saves children's lives. The audience gasped. This was bigger than they had realized. Mr. Thornton works for a hedge fund that bet millions of dollars against Tesla stock. They needed Elon Musk's reputation to crash so they could make money. They used me as their weapon. Marcus felt tears streaming down his face, but he kept talking. I was so hungry for fame, so desperate to make my mark, that I didn't check the facts carefully enough. I wanted to believe the story because it would make me famous. He looked at Musk, who was listening with compassion, not anger. I almost destroyed something beautiful tonight. I almost killed a foundation that has saved 47 children this year. I almost convinced America that Tommy Vasquez's surgery was fake. The weight of what Marcus was confessing hit the audience. They realized they had just watched a man destroy his own career to tell the truth. But something incredible happened instead. Marcus continued. Instead of defending himself, Mr. Musk told us about Tommy, about Nevada, his son who died, about 47 children who are alive because someone cared enough to help. Marcus picked up one of the scattered fake documents from the floor. This piece of paper tried to convince you that Elon Musk steals money from sick children. But the truth is that he gives dying children a chance to live. He crumpled up the paper and threw it away. The truth is that tomorrow morning, an 8-year-old girl is going to get a new heart because someone decided that children's lives matter more than profit. The audience was on their feet now, applauding not just for Tommy or Musk, but for Marcus's courage to admit he was wrong. I came here tonight to destroy a man's reputation, Marcus said. Instead, I learned what real courage looks like, what real generosity looks like, what real love looks like. He turned to Musk. Mr. Musk, I am sorry. I am sorry for attacking your foundation. I am sorry for questioning your motives. I am sorry for almost convincing America that Tommy's surgery was fake. Musk stood up and walked over to Marcus. For a moment, Marcus thought he was going to be angry. Instead, Musk held out his hand. Marcus, Musk said quietly, you were manipulated by people who wanted to use you as a weapon. The fact that you're telling the truth now shows what kind of person you really are. They shook hands. The audience exploded in applause. But there's something else, Musk said, still holding Marcus's hand. Something that's going to make this story even more incredible. Marcus looked confused. What do you mean? Musk smiled. In the past hour, since Dr. Vasquez talked about Tommy's surgery, the Foundation's website has crashed from too many visitors. Our phone lines are jammed with people wanting to donate. Marcus felt a spark of hope. Really? The attack on the Foundation has become the biggest advertisement we've ever had, Musk said. People are donating thousands of dollars, tens of thousands. They want to help more children like Tommy. Marcus couldn't believe it. His failed attack had somehow helped the Foundation. Your moment of honesty just raised more money for sick children than we've ever raised before, Musk continued. Tommy's story has inspired America to open their hearts and their wallets. The audience was crying and clapping at the same time. Marcus felt overwhelmed by the irony. His attempt to destroy the foundation had made it stronger than ever. "There's more," Musk said. "Doctors from around the country are calling. They want to partner with us. They have patients who need help, and they've seen what we can do." Marcus felt like he was dreaming. "How is this possible?" "Because America loves an underdog," Musk said. "They love a sick little girl who dreams of Mars. They love a father who turns his grief into hope for other families. And they love a reporter who's brave enough to admit when he's wrong." Musk looked directly at the camera. Tonight, Marcus Rivers proved that journalism isn't about destroying people. It's about finding the truth, even when the truth makes you look bad. The audience gave Marcus a standing ovation. He had come to the studio thinking this would be the best night of his career. Instead, it had become the worst and the best night at the same time. "Mr. Musk," Marcus said, "what happens now?" "Now," Musk said, "we help more children. We answer the phone calls from families who need help. We work with the doctors who want to partner with us. And tomorrow morning, we watch Tommy get her new heart." Marcus nodded. "And what about me? I just destroyed my career on live television." Musk smiled. "Marcus, I think you just started your real career, the career you were meant to have." As the cameras rolled and the audience applauded, Marcus realized that losing everything had somehow given him everything that mattered. 3 months later, Marcus sat in a small coffee shop in downtown Phoenix, waiting for the most important interview of his new career. Through the window, he could see Phoenix Children's Hospital in the distance. Somewhere in that building, Tommy Vasquez was probably drawing another picture of rockets. Marcus's life had changed completely since that night on Channel 7. As he had predicted, he was fired the next morning. The network's lawyers were furious that he had accused Bradley Thornton of financial crimes on live television, even though everything Marcus said turned out to be true. But something unexpected happened in the days that followed. Small news organizations started calling. Independent journalists reached out. People who had watched him tell the truth on live television wanted to work with him. The reporter who chose honesty over his career, one newspaper editor had said. "That's the kind of journalist we need." Marcus now worked for a non-profit news organization called Truth First Media. They investigated corruption, gave voice to the voiceless, and refused to take money from anyone who might influence their stories. The pay was terrible, but Marcus had never been happier. Sophia Chen had quit Channel 7 the day after the interview. She couldn't work for a network that had allowed Thornton to manipulate the news for profit. Now she worked alongside Marcus as an investigative reporter, using the skills she had learned to expose corruption instead of covering it up. "Marcus." He looked up to see a young woman with short black hair and intelligent eyes. Maya Patel, the investigative journalist who had been following the Thornton story since the night of the interview. "Maya, thanks for meeting me," Marcus said, standing to shake her hand. They sat down, and Maya pulled out a thick folder. "You're not going to believe what I've found." For 3 months, Maya had been digging into Bradley Thornton and his connections. What she discovered was bigger than anyone had imagined. Thornton wasn't working alone, Maya said, opening the folder. He was part of a network of corrupt executives at multiple news organizations. They were feeding false stories to reporters, manipulating stock prices, and making millions. Marcus felt his stomach drop. "How many reporters?" "At least 12 that I can prove," Maya said, "at 6 different networks. All of them were given fake documents designed to attack specific companies right before major stock trades." She showed Marcus a spreadsheet with names, dates, and dollar amounts. The numbers were staggering. They made over $50 million in the past 2 years, Maya continued. $50 million by turning journalists into weapons against innocent people. Marcus stared at the evidence. He hadn't been the only victim. Thornton and his partners had been manipulating the news across the entire industry. The good news, Maya said, is that the FBI has been building a case. Your confession on live television gave them the evidence they needed to start investigating. What kind of case? Securities fraud, market manipulation, conspiracy. The whole group is going down, Marcus. And it's partly because you had the courage to tell the truth that night. Marcus felt a mix of pride and sadness. He was proud that his honesty had led to justice, but sad that so many other journalists had been used the same way he had. There's something else, Maya said. Something about you specifically. She pulled out another document. This one looked old and official. I've been researching your background, trying to understand how Thornton chose his targets. And I found something interesting about your childhood. Marcus looked at the paper. It was a medical bill from when he was 7 years old. He'd been in a car accident and needed emergency surgery. The bill was for $89,000, money his family didn't have. I remember this, Marcus said quietly. My parents almost went bankrupt, but somehow the bill got paid. They never told me how. Maya smiled. Look at the payment record. Marcus scanned the document until he found what Maya was pointing to. At the bottom of the page in small print was a notation. Paid in full by anonymous donor, Musk Foundation for medical assistance. Marcus's blood ran cold. What? Elon Musk paid your medical bills when you were 7 years old, Maya said. 15 years before he started the Future Kids Foundation. He's been quietly helping families pay medical bills for decades. Marcus felt like the world was spinning. The man he had tried to destroy on television had saved his life when he was a child. Without that surgery, you would have died, Maya continued. Without Musk's anonymous donation, your family would have lost their house trying to pay for it. Marcus put his head in his hands. The irony was overwhelming. The education that led to his journalism career, the stable childhood that shaped his values, the very life he had lived, all of it was possible because Elon Musk had helped his family 28 years ago. Does he know? Marcus asked. I don't. Think so, Maya said. The donations were made through a foundation that didn't keep personal records. He probably helped hundreds of families and never knew their names. Marcus looked out the window at the hospital where Tommy was recovering. The little girl who had saved the foundation by sharing her story. The foundation that had saved Marcus's life decades before it officially existed. Maya, Marcus said, we need to tell this story. I was hoping you'd say that, she replied. The full investigation into Thornton's network, the innocent journalists who were manipulated, the companies that were attacked. And the beautiful irony of a reporter who tried to destroy the man who saved his life. Marcus nodded. What do you need from me? I need you to interview the other journalists who were used by Thornton's group. I need you to tell their stories, with the same honesty you showed that night on Channel 7. Marcus thought about the 12 other reporters who had been manipulated like he was. People who probably felt the same shame and guilt he had carried for months. They need to know they're not alone, Maya continued. They need to see that admitting the truth doesn't end your career. It starts your real career. Just then, Marcus's phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Dr. Elena Vasquez. Tommy wants to know if you'd like to see her new drawing. She's working on the design for the Mars hospital. Marcus smiled and showed the text to Maya. How's Tommy doing? Maya asked. Better than anyone hoped, Marcus said. Her new heart is working perfectly. She's back in school, playing with friends, chasing her dreams of becoming an astronaut. He paused and looked back at the medical bill from his own childhood. Maya, I want to do more than just tell the story of Thornton's corruption. I want to tell the story of the foundation. The real story. All the children it's helped over the years. All the families who got hope when they had nowhere else to turn. Maya grinned. A redemption story. More than that, Marcus said. A love story. About how one man's grief became thousands of families' hope. about how sometimes the people trying to destroy you are actually the people you've already saved. They shook hands across the table, two journalists ready to tell the truth, no matter how complicated or beautiful that truth might be. Outside the window, Marcus could see a small figure walking into the hospital with a woman in scrubs. Even from a distance, he could tell it was Tommy and her mother, probably going for a follow-up appointment. The little girl who had changed everything was living proof that some stories have happy endings. 6 months later, Marcus stood outside the federal courthouse in New York City, watching Bradley Thornton and his conspirators being led away in handcuffs. The FBI investigation that started with Marcus's confession had uncovered the largest financial fraud scheme in media history. Thornton got 15 years in prison. His partners got similar sentences. The hedge fund that paid them was shut down permanently. And most importantly, new laws were passed requiring news organizations to verify their sources and disclose any financial conflicts of interest. Marcus pulled out his phone and called Sophia, who was back in Phoenix working on another story. "They got them all," Marcus said when she answered. "Good," Sophia replied. "How do you feel?" Marcus looked at the courthouse steps where reporters were interviewing the prosecutors. 6 months ago, he would have been jealous of those reporters, wishing he could be covering such a big story. Now, he felt something different. "I feel proud," Marcus said. "Proud that telling the truth led to justice." "Have you told him yet?" Sophia asked. Marcus knew exactly who she meant. For 6 months, Marcus had been carrying the secret about his childhood medical bills. He knew he needed to tell Elon Musk the truth, but he hadn't found the right moment. "Not yet," Marcus said, "but today feels like the right day." After the trials ended, Marcus and Maya had written a series of articles exposing the entire conspiracy. The stories won 3 journalism awards and led to reforms across the news industry. But more importantly, they had cleared the names of the other journalists who had been manipulated by Thornton's group. Marcus had interviewed all 12 of them. Each conversation was the same: relief that they weren't alone, gratitude that someone understood their pain, and determination to rebuild their careers on a foundation of truth. 2 hours later, Marcus was on a plane to Austin, where Musk was speaking at a technology conference. Maya had arranged for Marcus to have a brief interview with him after his speech. The conference center was packed with thousands of people eager to hear about Mars missions and electric cars. But Marcus was thinking about something much more personal. After Musk's speech about sustainable energy, Marcus waited backstage. When Musk saw him, his face lit up with recognition. "Marcus, the journalist who saved my foundation. How are you?" They shook hands warmly. In the months since the interview, they had exchanged emails but hadn't seen each other in person. "I'm good, Mr. Musk." "Actually, I'm better than good. I wanted to thank you again for how you handled that night. You could have destroyed me, but instead you showed me what integrity looks like." Musk waved dismissively. "You showed your own integrity that night. That's all you, not me." "Actually," Marcus said, "there's something I need to tell you. Something Maya Patel discovered during her investigation." Musk looked curious. "What's that?" Marcus pulled out the old medical bill that Maya had found, the one from when he was 7 years old. "Do you remember the Musk Foundation for Medical Assistance?" Marcus asked. Musk looked confused. "Vaguely. That was something I started in college, right after I sold my first company. I helped families pay medical bills for a few years before I got too busy with other projects." "You helped my family?" Marcus said quietly, handing him the document. Musk took the paper and studied it. Marcus could see his expression change as he read the details. Marcus Rivers, 7 years old, emergency surgery. Musk looked up with wide eyes. "This is you?" "Without that surgery, I would have died," Marcus said. "Without your anonymous donation, my family would have gone bankrupt, trying to pay for it." Musk stared at the document, then at Marcus, then back at the document. "I don't understand," Musk said. You're telling me that the reporter who tried to expose my foundation on television was a child whose life you saved 28 years ago, Marcus finished. For a long moment, neither man spoke. Musk sat down heavily in a nearby chair, still holding the medical bill. This is incredible, Musk said finally. I mean, what are the odds? Out of all the journalists in America, the one who attacks the foundation is someone the foundation's predecessor helped as a child. Marcus sat down next to him. It gets even more incredible. That attack, that moment, when I tried to destroy, you ended up being the best thing that ever happened to the foundation. Musk nodded. The donations that night were amazing. We've been able to help 3 times as many children because of the publicity from your interview. So, in a weird way, Marcus said, you saving my life as a child led to me accidentally saving your foundation as an adult. Musk started laughing, not a polite chuckle, but deep, genuine laughter. Marcus, this is the most beautiful irony I've ever heard. The child I helped grow up became the journalist who helped the foundation grow up. Marcus felt a weight lifting off his shoulders. He'd been carrying the guilt of that interview for months, even though it had turned out well. Now, knowing the full circle of the story, the guilt was replaced by wonder. There's something else, Musk said, his expression growing serious. Something I've never told anyone about that old foundation. Marcus waited. I started it after my son Nevada died, Musk said quietly. I was so angry at the world, so frustrated, that money couldn't save him, so I decided to use money to save other children instead. Musk looked at the medical bill again. Your surgery was probably one of the first ones I paid for. I was 23 years old, had no idea what I was doing, just knew I wanted to help. Marcus felt tears forming in his eyes. So you've been saving children's lives for almost 30 years? I guess so, Musk said. I never thought about it that way. Mr. Musk, Marcus said, would you be willing to do an interview about this? About the connection between us? About how your grief became hope for thousands of families? Musk thought for a moment. What would be the point of the interview? To show people that kindness has a ripple effect, Marcus said. That the good we do comes back to us in ways we never expect. That sometimes the people we help grow up to help us in return. Musk smiled. You know what? Yes. Let's do that interview. But on one condition. What's that? We do it at Phoenix Children's Hospital with Tommy. I want America to see that this story isn't about me or you. It's about the children who get to live because people care enough to help. Marcus felt his heart swell with pride and purpose. This was why he had become a journalist, not for fame or money, but to tell stories that mattered. Stories that showed the best of humanity. Mr. Musk, Marcus said, I think that would be perfect. As they shook hands again, Marcus realized that his journey had come full circle. The child who was saved had become the man who saved others. The reporter who tried to destroy had become the journalist who revealed the truth. And somewhere in Phoenix, an 8-year-old girl was probably drawing another picture of rockets, never knowing that her story had changed the world. 2 weeks. Later, Marcus stood in the bright hallway of Phoenix Children's Hospital, holding a small bouquet of flowers and feeling more nervous than he had on the night of the infamous interview. Today wasn't about exposing fraud or winning awards. Today was about showing America what hope looked like. Sophia walked beside him, carrying camera equipment for their independent news organization. They had grown their small company into something special, a place where journalists could tell important stories without worrying about corporate sponsors or stock prices. Are you ready for this? Sophia asked as they approached the pediatric ward. Marcus smiled. I've been ready for this my whole life. I just didn't know it until now. Dr. Elena Vasquez met them at the nurses' station. She looked different than Marcus had imagined during their phone call months ago. Younger, stronger, with the confident bearing of someone who saved lives for a living. "Mr. Rivers," she said warmly, shaking his hand. "Tommy has been talking about this interview for weeks. She's been practicing her presentation." "Her presentation?" Marcus asked. Dr. Vasquez grinned. "You'll see. She's taken this very seriously." They walked down the hall past rooms full of children in various stages of recovery. Some were playing games, others were sleeping, and a few were drawing pictures that reminded Marcus powerfully of the ones Musk carried in his wallet. "How many children has the foundation helped at this hospital alone?" Sophia asked, filming as they walked. 43 in the past year, Dr. Vasquez replied. "Surgeries, treatments, medications that insurance wouldn't cover. Without the foundation, at least half of those children would have died." They stopped at a room with colorful drawings taped to the door. Rocket ships, astronauts, planets, and stars covered every inch of the surface. In the center was a sign that read, "Tommy's Mission Control." Dr. Vasquez knocked gently. "Tommy, your visitors are here." The door opened to reveal a small girl with bright eyes and a huge smile. She was wearing a hospital gown decorated with NASA logos and had a stethoscope around her neck that was clearly a toy. "Mr. Rivers," Tommy said excitedly. "And you must be Sophia. Mom told me you helped catch the bad man who tried to hurt Mr. Musk." Marcus knelt down to Tommy's level. She looked so healthy, so full of life, that it was hard to believe she had been dying just 8 months ago. "Tommy, these flowers are for you," Marcus said, handing her the bouquet. "Thank you. Are you ready to see my presentation about the Mars hospital?" Before Marcus could answer, Tommy grabbed his hand and pulled him into her room. The walls were covered with drawings, but these weren't the simple crayon pictures Musk had shown on television. These were detailed architectural plans drawn by a child who had clearly been thinking about this project for months. "This is the main hospital building," Tommy said, pointing to a large drawing. "It has to be round because of the dust storms on Mars. And look, these are the gardens where patients can grow earth plants to make them feel better." Sophia was filming everything, capturing Tommy's enthusiasm and intelligence. "And this," Tommy continued, moving to another drawing, "is the rocket landing pad where the medical supply ships will arrive from Earth. It has to be far enough away so the noise doesn't scare the patients." Marcus studied the drawings with amazement. This wasn't just a child's fantasy. Tommy had thought through real problems and come up with creative solutions. "Tommy, how did you learn about Mars architecture?" Marcus asked. "Mr. Musk sent me books," she said proudly, "and videos about space, stations and how to build things in low gravity. He says when I'm old enough, he'll help me design the real hospital." Just then, Marcus heard a familiar voice from the doorway. "I see Tommy's giving you the full tour of her Mars Medical Center." Marcus turned to see Elon Musk standing in the doorway, holding a small wrapped package. "Mr. Musk!" Tommy squealed, running to hug him. "You made it!" "I wouldn't miss this for anything," Musk said, hugging her back. "How's the heart feeling today?" "Perfect. Dr. Martinez says it's working better than expected. Want to listen?" Tommy held up her toy stethoscope and Musk played along, pretending to listen to her heartbeat. "Strong and steady," he announced seriously. "Definitely ready for space travel." Marcus watched this interaction with wonder. This wasn't a billionaire doing charity work for publicity. This was a man who genuinely cared about a little girl's dreams. "Tommy," Musk said, "I brought you something for your Mars hospital project." He handed her the package, and she unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a professional architectural drawing tablet and stylus. "Now you can design the hospital on a computer, just like real architects do," Musk said. Tommy's eyes went wide. "Really? I can make real blueprints?" "Real blueprints for a real hospital that we'll really build someday," Musk confirmed. Marcus began the interview, but it felt more like a conversation between friends than a formal news piece. Tommy showed them more drawings while explaining her medical ideas with the seriousness of someone who had spent a lot of time in hospitals. "The patient rooms will have big windows so people can see the Earth," Tommy said. "Because when you're sick. It helps to remember that there's a whole world of people who love you. Dr. Vasquez had tears in her eyes. That's what got us through Tommy's surgery, knowing that people all over the world were rooting for her. Speaking of which, Musk said, Tommy, do you want to tell Mr. Rivers about your letter project? Tommy nodded excitedly and ran to her bedside table. She pulled out a thick folder full of letters and drawings. After the interview on TV, kids from all over the world started writing to me, Tommy explained. Kids who are sick like I was. Kids who want to be astronauts. Kids who want to help build the Mars hospital. She showed Marcus dozens of letters from children in different countries, all inspired by her story. This one is from a boy in Japan. Who wants to design the space ambulances? Tommy said, holding up a drawing of a rocket-powered medical vehicle. And this one is from a girl in Brazil who wants to study space medicine. Marcus realized that Tommy's story had inspired a generation of children to think about combining space exploration with helping others. The best part, Tommy continued, is that some of these kids are sick too and their families found out about Mr. Musk's foundation because of my story. Now they're getting help too. Marcus looked at Musk, who was beaming with pride. Tommy's interview that night led to the foundation helping 68 more children, Musk said. Her courage to share her story gave other families hope. Sophia was capturing everything, but Marcus knew the most important moments couldn't be filmed. The quiet conversations between Tommy and her mother. The way Musk's face lit up when Tommy talked about her dreams. The feeling in the room that they were all part of something bigger than themselves. Mr. Rivers, Tommy said, tugging on his sleeve. My mom told me that Mr. Musk helped you when you were little too. Is that true? Marcus looked at Dr. Vasquez, who nodded encouragingly. Yes, Tommy. When I was about your age, I was in an accident and needed surgery. Mr. Musk's foundation helped my family pay for it. Tommy's eyes went wide. So you and me are like surgery siblings, Marcus laughed. I guess we are. That means, Tommy said thoughtfully, that Mr. Musk saved you so that you could grow up and help save the foundation that saved me. The simple wisdom of her observation hit everyone in the room. Out of the mouths of babes. Tommy, Marcus said, I think you just explained the whole story better than any adult could. 5 years later, Marcus stood at the podium of the International Space Medicine Conference, looking out at an audience of doctors, engineers, and scientists from around the world. In the front row sat a 13-year-old girl with bright eyes and a confident smile, taking notes on her tablet like the serious young researcher she had become. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus said into the microphone, I want to tell you about a moment that changed journalism, changed medicine, and changed the way we think about helping each other. The audience was quiet, listening intently. These were people who dedicated their lives to healing others, and they understood the power of a good story. 5 years ago, I was a local news anchor who thought I was about to become famous by destroying a billionaire on live television. Instead, I learned about the power of truth, the beauty of forgiveness, and the incredible ripple effects of kindness. Marcus looked at Tommy, who was now taller, healthier, and more determined than ever to build her Mars hospital. She gave him a thumbs up, the same gesture she had given him during their interview at the Children's Hospital. The Future Kids Foundation has now helped over 500 children, Marcus continued. Children from every state in America and 12 countries around the world. But more than that, it has inspired a revolution in how we think about medical charity. The numbers were staggering. After Marcus's original interview and the subsequent investigations, donations to medical charities had increased by 400% nationwide. Other billionaires had started their own foundations, modeled after Musk's quiet, direct approach. Dr. Elena Vasquez, Marcus said, nodding to Tommy's mother in the audience, has become the medical director of the foundation. She's created a network of over 200 pediatric specialists who volunteer their time to help children whose insurance won't cover experimental treatments. Dr. Vasquez stood and waved briefly. She had taken a leave of absence from the hospital to work full-time for the foundation, traveling the world to set up partnerships with children's hospitals everywhere. Sophia Chen, Marcus continued, looking at his wife in the third row, has become one of the country's leading investigative journalists. Her work exposing corruption in medical insurance has led to new laws protecting families with sick children. Sophia smiled and shook her head slightly. She never liked being the center of attention, but her work had genuinely changed how insurance companies handled pediatric cases. 5 congressional hearings and 12 new laws later, fewer families faced the impossible choice between bankruptcy and their child's life. And Tommy Vasquez, Marcus said, his voice filled with pride, has become the youngest person ever accepted into NASA's Youth Astronaut Training Program. The audience erupted in applause. Tommy stood up and took a small bow, completely comfortable with the attention. At 13, she was already taking advanced physics and engineering courses, designing space habitats in her spare time, and corresponding with scientists around the world about her Mars hospital project. But the real hero of this story, Marcus said as the applause died down, is sitting in the back row probably wishing I would stop talking about him. Everyone turned to look at Elon Musk, who was indeed sitting in the back, trying to look invisible. He waved reluctantly when the audience spotted him. Elon Musk turned his greatest loss into the world's gain, Marcus said. His son Nevada, who died 25 years ago, lives on in every child the foundation saves. Every surgery, every treatment, every second chance at life is a way of honoring that little boy's memory. Musk wiped his eyes, still carrying Nevada's photograph in his wallet after all these years. Next to it now was a newer picture. Tommy in her NASA training uniform, grinning at the camera with her arms spread wide like she was already flying through space. The foundation operates in 37 countries now, Marcus continued. It has partnerships with 150 children's hospitals. It has helped children with rare diseases that most people have never heard of. And it still operates the same way it did when it started. Quietly, directly, with no publicity and no bureaucracy. The expansion had been carefully planned and executed. Dr. Vasquez had insisted on maintaining the original principles. Help immediately, work through hospitals, respect family privacy, and never turn medical emergencies into photo opportunities. Maya Patel, Marcus said, nodding to the investigative journalist who had broken the Thornton conspiracy, has become the foundation's transparency director. She makes sure that every dollar goes exactly where it's supposed to go, and that no one ever again uses fake charities to manipulate the stock market. Maya had created a system of public accountability that other charities now copied. Real-time financial tracking, independent audits, and complete transparency about where money went. The foundation had become the gold standard for medical charity work. But perhaps the most important legacy of that night 5 years ago, Marcus said, is what it taught us about the power of admitting when we're wrong. Marcus paused and looked around the room at faces from around the world. Doctors who had joined the foundation's network, researchers working on space medicine, journalists who had been inspired to investigate corruption rather than create it. I came to television that night, thinking that destroying someone's reputation would make me successful. Instead, I learned that building something beautiful with someone makes you successful in ways that matter. Marcus and Sophia's news organization had grown into a respected source of investigative journalism. They employed 23 reporters who specialized in exposing corruption while also telling stories of hope and human kindness. Their coverage of medical charity work had inspired similar foundations around the world. Tommy, Marcus said, looking directly at her, would you like to tell everyone about the Mars Hospital project? Tommy stood up confidently and walked to the podium. At 13, she was poised and articulate, speaking to the audience like someone who had been doing this her whole life. The Interplanetary Medical Center will be humanity's first hospital designed specifically for space, Tommy said. It will serve as a research facility, a treatment center, and a training ground for the doctors who will accompany future Mars colonies. She pulled up a holographic display that showed her latest designs. The audience gasped at the sophistication of the plans. Construction will begin in Earth orbit in 2035, Tommy continued. The first patients will be astronauts with long-term health issues from space travel, but eventually it will serve as a medical facility for Mars colonists and a research center for developing treatments that work in low gravity. The plans were no longer the crayon drawings of a sick 8-year-old. These were professional architectural blueprints developed in partnership with NASA engineers and medical researchers. Mr. Musk has committed SpaceX to providing all transportation and logistics for the project, Tommy said, and the Future Kids Foundation will fund the medical equipment and research facilities. Marcus felt chills listening to her speak. The dying child who had saved the foundation was now planning to build the first hospital in space. Most importantly, Tommy said, the Mars hospital will be a place where sick children from Earth can come to recover in an environment specifically designed for healing. Low gravity will help children with muscle and bone diseases. The sterile environment will protect children with compromised immune systems, and the wonder of being in space will give them hope when they need it most. The audience was completely silent, absorbing the magnitude of what she was proposing. Every child who gets treated at the Mars hospital will know that they're part of something bigger than their illness, Tommy continued. They'll know that their recovery is helping to build humanity's future among the stars. Marcus looked at Musk, who was crying openly now. The man who had lost his son was watching a girl he had saved plan to take sick children to the stars. The first Mars hospital patient, Tommy said with a grin, will be me. I'm going to test all the equipment to make sure it works properly for the kids who come after me. The audience erupted in applause that lasted for several minutes. Tommy took it all in stride, clearly comfortable with her role as the face of humanity's medical future. When the applause died down, Marcus returned to the podium. 5 years ago, I tried to convince America that hope was fake, he said. Today, hope is building a hospital on Mars. That's the power of truth. That's the power of forgiveness. That's the power of turning our worst moments into our best possibilities. He looked around the room one more time. The little girl who was dying is now designing the future of space medicine. The billionaire who lost his son has saved hundreds of other children. The journalist who almost destroyed everything has spent 5 years helping to build something beautiful. Marcus paused and smiled. And somewhere, a boy named Nevada is watching all of this and knowing that his short life made all these long lives possible. As the conference ended and people began to leave, Marcus noticed Tommy approach Musk with something in her hand. It was a new drawing, not of rockets or hospitals this time, but of a little boy with angel wings, watching over a group of children reaching for the stars. At the bottom, in Tommy's now steady handwriting, were the words, "For Nevada, who made it all possible." Musk took the drawing with shaking hands and carefully folded it next to his son's photograph. 25 years of grief had become a legacy of hope, and the circle was finally complete. Tommy got her heart. Marcus found his purpose. And sometimes the worst moments become our greatest gifts. Where are you listening from? Tell me in the full comments. I love connecting with people around the world who believe in kindness. If this story moved you, hit that like button to help us spread more stories of hope. Subscribe to join our mission of sharing kindness everywhere. And click on the video appearing on your screen right now. Another incredible story is waiting for you. Keep spreading kindness.